Before we get started, I'm going to be leaving the full episode of the actual podcast that we're referring to in this video, so that way you guys can go back and take a look. And if you think I may have got something out of context or whatnot, you guys just leave it in the comment section. I'm also going to be leaving the same normal links to everything, including the previous video. With that right there being said, let's go ahead and follow up on the curious case of Dakota Meyer, part 1, and let's go ahead and head into part 2 to discuss the contradictions and further clamp down on why it is that he may be screwing up his brand. Well, let's go ahead and get into part 2 of the curious case of Dakota Meyer. Now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and dive right on into this, but I will be leaving part 1 in the description box of this video here and also in the comment section. Now, guys, part 1, I focused more on the overall story and focused in, at least in the second half of the video. It ended up taking a long time to do that particular piece, and I decided to focus in mostly on why it is that he may have the attitude that he has, and of course, to go on top of that, also to consider some of the incidents and why it is that other veterans kind of don't like him, and why it is that some people may be thinking that he may be screwing up his brand. I touched briefly on the BAE Systems ordeal. I touched very briefly on not only the BAE Systems ordeal, but the Dash Gym incident. And of course, this little thing here, which by the way, we're going to be talking about a little bit more, just a very, very quick montage.
Because you're just trying to dress up and be something that you never are. It's just so fucked up, because you're trying to put off this persona that you're something that you're fucking not. And, yeah, I mean, here's the best way to gauge it. If you've never had to kiss your family goodbye, wondering if you're going to ever come home, quit trying to make up for it in your later years. You didn't serve. You didn't do it. Good on you. Congratulations, whatever. But you didn't fucking serve. Stop trying to act like you did and give off this persona, because Instagram gives you a platform to be whatever the fuck you want to create today. That's what he says.
Or anything like that. If you guys have any hate in your heart towards that man, please let that go, okay? However, know that that is not how the entire community feels about it. Sound good? So you guys will see me around, like I'll be floating around. I'm actually gonna go probably throw on some gear and fight beside him, because I think that'd be badass to do on Memorial Day weekend, but I gotta go find him, and he's laying in wait for you guys. So, go find him, and then I'll probably be fighting against you tomorrow.
Nothing I guess is like these people, like, you know how the media spins up a bunch of negative shit? Do you like trust the media?
I don't.
So when Grand Thumb and all these other guys that you follow probably, when they go, none of them have approached me. When they go and spin this up to make their followers make them more money.
Wrote him on June 7th, 2021, said, "What up, man?" Grant says, "Hey, boss, how are you?" Dakota says, "I'm good, man. How are you?" And then Grand Thumb says, "Good, man. Just got back from a longish TDY, temporary assigned duty type thing. So it's good to be home with family. You know how it is." And then, only 3 days later, Grand Thumb writes him again, says, "Hey, brother, would you ever consider coming on for an interview?" Seen, never responded, and then Grand Thumb says, "Or not, no problemo." And as I was making this video, it does look like there has been an update on this situation, as Grand Thumb has said this on his story on Instagram. He writes, "Me and Dakota Meyer 0317 will be doing an IG live in the next few days. We talked on the phone, should be a great discussion."
Now, guys, you're probably thinking to yourself, that LARP rant has been played a lot, and it has been played a lot. But that LARP rant, in my opinion, I think is very important for a multitude of reasons. It kind of gives you an idea of his actual psyche. Now, really quick, as I said in the first video, this video right here is not designed to defame or attack. If anything, maybe empathize, possibly sympathize with him. However, there is a thing that people have been really getting irked by, and that is, of course, the contradictions. Now, this video right here is going to be, for the most part, a bit of a response to what he said the other day about the gun bunnies ordeal on his You're Human podcast. Now, guys, there were a lot of things here that just did not add up, and there were a lot of things here that just, how do I say, made him come off as a bit of an elitist type vet. Now, guys, we've talked about this before, and I have told everybody in the description box, I have been very consistent on this, that nobody is above criticism. If you want to criticize me, you can go ahead and criticize me. It's okay. It's freedom of speech. You have a right to say whatever you want. And even though I'm a veteran myself, I definitely don't consider myself above other ones. Obviously, Dakota Meyer is a Medal of Honor winner. I established that in the first video. I established that we should be respecting that. And I also established he's actually been burned sometimes by some figures on YouTube. One, of course, was the Adam Kokesh guy, who I think completely misrepresented what he said at the very end of his video. So I can understand why Dakota is the way he is when it comes to the media, especially given the fact that he's been kind of let's just say he's been on Letterman, he's been on 60 Minutes, he's been on Fox, he's been on just about every single media outlet you can think of. He's been on the Megyn Kelly show, he's been on Joe Rogan, he's been on several podcasts, including Jocko Willink. And like I said before, I have mad respect for all these guys because they obviously put the same uniform on that I had at one time myself. But the thing is this right here, when it comes to overall views and views about certain topics as far as where the disagreements actually happen to occur. And of course, disagreement is fine as long as you don't go completely haywire and start branding the people that you know. Something that we quite frankly have a problem with here in this country right now, which is called cancel culture. But we stick to those topics more on my main channel, John Claymore. Now, the channel name, really quick, I just want to bring this up. It's going to be going back to Gear Issue 30. I'm going to change. I'm going to explain that more towards the end of the video. We'll be very, very brief. But what we got to talk about those. We got to talk about some of the things that were said here on this this little You're Human podcast. We're going to go ahead and start with the whole issue of Grantham and how it is that Dakota claimed that he had not been contacted or that these guys on gun channels have not been wanting to get up with him. Let's go ahead and roll this.
Well, but
Yeah.
I guess you think you're tactical, but you've never served.
Yeah. So do you want to know? So do you want me to clarify that for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's more about these gun bunnies, right? It's more about these gun bunnies who are wearing gear, who don't go out and train, who don't take it serious, who aren't doing anything that's trying to make the world a better place. They're putting the gear on to take photos to post on Instagram.
Oh man, yeah, and I see it all the time.
How does that make you mad?
Less mad. More it misrepresents the people who actually are out there putting in work. I just think it really misrepresents them.
You hold on. You just said it. Hold on. What did you just say? That it does what? It misrepresents them. The people who actually put the work in.
I'd say people like you who have put the work in. People like me and my friends who are just regular everyday guys who are out there just putting in work to try to.
Bro, I love guys like you. So I want to say this. I love guys like you, right? I think it's awesome, right? I think everybody. Do you know how much easier a cop's job would be if people trained themselves and were ready to defend their own place themselves? Do you know how many less cops would have to give their lives? I want to make this clear though. Like, because I do want to get this, right? Like, guys who train to protect their own home, they ain't equal to the cops in the military who go and serve their country. And I'm going to tell you the difference. The guys who, they might be better. Look, look, there's no doubt I watch videos of guys who are, I don't know what that one kid's name is, but him running down the range, like, of course, dude, he could outshoot me all day long. He could outshoot most of us. But here's the difference. They train to protect their own homes. Cops go out to protect others. Military goes out to serve others. And I'll give you some statistics on it. And this is where I get really frustrated. There is a difference.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
When people who didn't serve talk shit about cops who are serving, when they talk shit about military who's gone over and been in gunfights, it's not the same. It's just not. You know, the last time I checked, you know, do you know how many like of all these guys who shoot on these ranges all the time, how many of them showed up to the protests last year to help? And how many riots did they hold off of these cities?
Yeah.
There's an opportunity. There's an opportunity. I know of one. Do you know how many cops were shot and killed last year? 2022? 64. Do you know how many cops were shot, injured, wounded in a gunfight in 2022?
I don't.
323. Not at their own houses, protecting their own houses. Going to protect others.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a big fundamental difference.
I love those guys, man. Like I said, those guys are running alongside us all the time.
Yeah, they do. And we appreciate the training we get from you all, right? Like they appreciate.
As you guys can see right there, the text messages were obviously there saying that, let's just say that it proved him not to be absolutely truthful. There are some people who have gone after Dakota over that LARP rant and said that he sounded intoxicated. I made it perfectly clear in the first part that I don't think it's intoxication. I think that it may just be the way that he talks because his voice always sounds the same. However, there is one thing I'm going to be wanting you guys to pay very close attention to when you see some of these clips, because you see some of these clips are actually going to be pretty well long. And they're going to be set up in a format that I needed to kind of edit because obviously my webcam does not work. And to go on top of this, doing the voiceover stuff is a little bit monotonous, especially given YouTube's copyright system. But here's the thing that I want to go ahead and clamp down. I want you guys to pay very close attention to Dakota's body language, because after watching this thing repeatedly, I just kind of came to the conclusion that I don't think that he... How do I say? I don't think he wants to hear anybody criticize or anybody disagree with him. He's very good at obviously not snapping at anyone, or he's at least learned to. But pay very close attention to his body language during this little segment. Let's go ahead and roll this.
Sacrifice. All of it's needed. I've never said anything against that. I've never not said that. I have never said guys shouldn't wear plate carriers. I've never said that guys shouldn't wear tactical gear. I've never said people shouldn't train. I've never said any of that.
Yeah. But I know that you can see how your rant
guys,
would have...
A few things here. Number one, okay, I want to go ahead and touch on the protest thing here, where he's like, how many people showed up at the protest? Okay, that sounds rational to a certain degree, but of course he eventually later on goes to talk about cops and defending them. Dakota, I don't know how much you were paying attention to in 2020, but I didn't see the cops anywhere during these riots. I mean, I'm sure they were out there, but they really weren't doing a whole lot. As a matter of fact, I recall this 17-year-old kid who was actually from Antioch, Illinois, who drove up to Kenosha, Wisconsin to protect a car lot. And he was thrust into a situation where he had to use his rifle against two far-left radicals, two of which got killed, and another one, a third one. Of course, those people were Gage Grosskreutz is the one who got wounded. You had Joseph Rosenbaum and Matthew Huber were the ones that he put down. Of course, he did that in self-defense. We're talking about the Kenosha kid here. He did, I think, a little bit more to kind of quell the situation than a lot of other people did. And something else to go on top of that, he got completely smeared by the media. He went on trial for the rest of his life. Now, am I saying that you should not actually go out there and defend your home or anything? That's not what I'm saying at all. The fact of the matter is that 17-year-old kid with no military training was able to change things on a dime. And I don't know if you guys remember or not, but some of these protests, some of these riots actually stopped shortly after that. I think the real reason why is because a lot of these left-wing rioters finally realized that there were people that would, in fact, actually step up. Something else, too, about the cops, and I'm not anti-police, I never have been, but there were times during the riots where I looked at it and I was like, man, are the police just not doing their job? Are they not willing to do their job? I don't know if Dakota remembers the whole Chaz Chop thing in Seattle, Washington. Yeah. The cops, which, by the way, the mayor is the one who's giving the ultimate orders, they weren't allowed to go in there. They weren't allowed to do that. I just figured I'd go ahead and throw that out now, and I'm probably going to throw it out again because, of course, he continues to bring up cops. Now, the gun bunnies thing, yeah, there are some things that I would agree with him on. However, the more and more I've been around people who do airsoft and go to the range, actual literal rifle range, the more and more I'm around these people, the more and more I realize that they are willing to learn. Yes, there are some out there who think because they bought all this content and all this material, it's the Glock starter pack. It's the guys who say stuff like, I never served, but I know more about guns, okay? And, of course, he was talking about guys out shooting on the range and how much they know, which kind of defeats the whole point of all of his entire takes on LARPing and stuff, which, by the way, he's probably referring to Lucas over at T-Rex Arms, I think is what it is. Yeah, he kind of triggers a lot of veterans, but then again, at the same time, though, I like the fact that civilians are actually learning about their Second Amendment. I like the fact that civilians are actually beginning to pick up a weapon. See, Dakota, it's one thing to talk about these people, but I think maybe you should be helping these people out. I mean, dude, you're a Medal of Honor winner. You're a Marine. I'm a Marine. I fell into a hole a long time ago myself where I just said that all these guys who are out here wearing plate carriers and stuff, they don't really know anything. But then when you actually get next to them, and yes, there are situations where, like Andy Stump said during his Joe Rogan interview, where he said, well, first of all, you got this thing on backwards, okay? So I can already tell you, dude, all you got to do is just tell somebody, show them how to fix it. They'll fix it. Will they ever be as good as the police or military? Probably not as effective or as well trained, at least mentally and physically. But I don't know if you know this or not, but normally when the crap hits the fan the second time around, people begin to adjust. They begin to get a little bit better, assuming they make it through the ordeal. And the thing that I'm trying to convey over is that you shouldn't just discount people so quickly. Yes, there are people out there who take photos with plate carriers and stuff like that. Yes, there are girls out there who walk around in thong bikinis on Instagram holding a rifle and whatnot. I've seen a lot of them, and some of them are actually ex-military. I'm not going to reveal any names or anything, but that's kind of sexy. That's kind of cute. But some of those girls actually literally go to the range. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen people like that chick that shoots. There's a lot of female channels out there where they go to the range and they shoot. I'm glad that women are taking up the Second Amendment. I'm happy that that's happening. I think most civilians, definitely most rational, sane civilians, should take it up and should actually learn. So right off the bat, it kind of sounds like you're trying to tell people that, you know what, you're not good enough. You're never going to be good enough. You know, you should have served. You know, you're not good enough. You know, let us take care of it. Dude, I don't know if you know this or not, man, but there's a lot of people right now who are not trusting the police force, given what happened in 2020 with the riots, given what happened with all the Karens, the mass Karens, the fact that they were arresting working class people for stupid offenses. To go on top of that, you also got this military right now that is laden with social justice warriors and laden with social justice warriorism. You've also got guys out there on the internet, I'm not going to say who loves to come out here and tell you that this person right here is a globalist, this person right here is a globalist, but then turn right back around and only show you a headline and not give you the full article. So at any point in time when you hear Dakota talk about the media or whatnot, I can actually empathize with that. But then again, at the same time, when you are telling people that they're not any good or they're never going to be that good, or maybe they should join right now, yet they're like in their late 20s or 30s and they have a family and whatnot, it's a little bit disingenuous. And as I've said before, guys, especially in that previous video, there are a lot of things that Dakota says that, quite frankly, I actually agree with him on or agreed with him on at one time. But still, at the same time, I think you might need to be encouraging people to actually go out there and train and learn about the Second Amendment and learn about weapons. And he himself even admitted, there's guys out here who know more than me. Dude, Dakota, here's an idea, man. If you ever want to fix your brand, here's an idea. Why don't you go talk to Lucas? Why don't you go talk to these civilian shooters? Why don't you come talk? I mean, you ain't got to talk to me. I mean, dude, I kind of don't want to, but still, why don't you go talk to these people? Why don't you go train with them? See what you can learn from them. See what they can learn from you. That's how we should really be doing this. Let's go ahead and roll the next one.
You didn't serve. You didn't do it. Good on you. It doesn't matter. Look, you're right. You want to tell you what frustrates me is all these people want to put all this time and effort in to train, and they are so qualified, probably more qualified than most of these men and women who are out here with the badge on the streets. Would you agree?
I would.
Okay,
I would. And,
but you know what the problem is?
Another reason,
you know what the problem is?
I feel it's really important that we get out and help the community, and the community includes the Army base and the law enforcement.
But you want to know? Go a little bit further where my problem with it is?
Yeah.
Then why don't they put the uniform on and go serve?
I understand. I get it 100%. There were these guys that used to walk around town between the time frame of, I think, 2006 to about 2014, where they would have their rifles slung behind them, open carry. And I look at them, I'm like, man, where were all you hard MFers when Iraq and Afghanistan broke out? If that is what Dakota is referring to, then yes, I agree with him. However, there's another problem, though. Check it out. Personal story. I think I touched on this story in the last video I did on Dakota. There was a guy that I worked with at a gun store. I'm not going to say where he was from. I'm not going to say any names or anything, but he was a prison guard at one point in time. And we used to banter back and forth. His daddy was a retired Army Airborne. And, of course, me being the prior service Marine, for whatever reason, he felt the need that he could bust my balls for being a Marine. I used to clap back at him because I thought he was a little bit out of place. However, over time, after we got that issue ironed out and he stopped doing it, I found out that the guy was actually much, much smarter than me when it came to certain weapons and certain types of techniques. So I actually asked him questions and whatnot. Me and him actually eventually formed a friendship. We talk to this day. It started with actual friction and discontent. But the more and more we actually talked to one another about things, the more and more we found out how much we knew, how much we agreed. And I learned from him and he learned from me about things. Okay, well, one of the things that I learned about him was that he tried to join the Army when he was 20 years old. He could not join because he had asthma. They weren't taking guys in. Some people can't join for whatever reasons. They got to find other ways, other avenues to actually fight. Also, something else too, what about those who got drafted during the Vietnam time frame, and let's just say they had a family, young families, whatnot? You might be, I mean, they didn't. I'm not talking about guys who dodged. I'm talking about guys who may have received a draft card. They showed up, they had a family or whatnot, and they just aired it out. Which, by the way, I'm not saying that wars are fought by childless men. That's not always the case. There are obviously men and women out there who join the military who do have families. I'm not saying that also. Don't think that's what I'm saying. The thing is this right here. Not everybody can serve at that point in time. And also, given the political discourse of our current military and the political discourse of our law enforcement at this moment in time, especially what's going on in the government, it makes you kind of wonder what the point is. Now, there was an Instagram video he did a while back that I put in the first video where he talked about joining the military and changing it from the inside. Dakota, you were in the Marines for an enlistment. I was in the Marines for an enlistment. I did my 2 deployments. You did your 2 deployments. Can a PFC or a Lance Corporal really and truly change everything? Can they do that? Maybe if they join and maybe they become a staff sergeant, maybe they can call some things a unit, but it takes years to do that. Not one person is going to change everything, especially given the ebb and flow of the military and the leadership at that time. I don't know if he's been paying attention or not, but we have an extremely weak and feckless leader in office at this moment in time. So I kind of empathize with those out there who may say, you know what, I think I'm just going to go to the range, you know, get in shape, get myself going, get myself, good to go, learn weapons, train with some guys, learn how to do this, learn how to do that. Right? Dakota, what I'm saying is that maybe what you should be doing at this moment in time is actually helping and teaching people, okay? And also something else too, with all the contradictions that you've made, given some of your past statements, especially the LARP rant and everything, yeah, it doesn't come off as a good look, bro. Back to the whole grand thing.
It's like these people, like, you know how the media spins up a bunch of negative shit? Do you trust the media?
I don't.
So when Grand Thumb and all these other guys that you follow probably, when they go, none of them have approached me. When they go and spin this up to make their followers make them more money,
wrote him on June 7th, 2021, said, "What up, man?" Grant says, "Hey, boss, how are you?" Dakota says, "I'm good, man. How are you?" And then Grant Thumb says, "Good, man. Just got back from a longish TDY, temporary assigned duty type thing. So it's good to be home with family. You know how it is." And then, only 3 days later, Grant Thumb writes him again, says, "Hey, brother, would you ever consider coming on for an interview?" Seen, never responded, and then Grant Thumb says, "Or not, no problemo." And as I was making this video, it does look like there has been an update on this situation, as Grant Thumb has said this on his story on Instagram. He writes, "Me and Dakota Meyer 0317 will be doing an IG live in the next few days. We talked on the phone, should be a great discussion."
This right here may be a little bit redundant. It may seem like a double edit or something, but I got to say this, dude. During that entire ordeal, when Grand Thumb answered back to him, Grand Thumb was wanting to get him to come, wanting to get him to actually have a conversation. By the way, Nikki MGTV, he had brought this up and said that Grand Thumb had put it on his Instagram. Guys, I'm just being bluntly honest with you. I think that's a lie. And I'll tell you right now how I know that's a lie. Because I went to Dakota's page to check and see if he had posted it on his page. I mean, I didn't see it anywhere. Not one damn spot. Went through his entire page looking for videos, things to bring up, controversies, whatnot. I ain't gonna lie to you. I actually went full straight peeping Tom on that Instagram channel, and guess what? I did not find not one single bit of evidence that Dakota had actually posted that he was going to be joining Grand Thumb, which makes me wonder about his overall character, especially given the fact that he lied about Dakota saying, he lied about Grand Thumb saying, well, no. He lied about the fact when he said that, well, Grand Thumb, these guys never reached out to me. Dude, there are text messages, there are Facebook messages, DMs that show that they did try to reach out to you, and now you're saying that they didn't? Very, very bad move here, dude. Very, very bad look.
It's like Halloween every time you guys post on Instagram because you're just trying to dress up and be something that you never are.
And doesn't that apply to these gun bunnies?
Yeah, that absolutely seems to have been covered in the last one. I gotta ask with that. Is it things like plate carriers and helmets? Is it usually that really irks you, I guess?
It doesn't irk me. I mean, why would you not have a plate carrier? Like, I mean, that would be... I'll tell you, one thing that's been fucking irking me lately, I don't know why, but I see all these people out there, like, wearing camo, acting like they're fucking operators on ranges. Look, I just want to say this. Like, you're just trying to do what guys like Tim Kennedy, Mark Luttrell fucking really did. And if you're one of those people who thinks you're fucking tactical and you've never served,
is it things like plate carriers and helmets? Is it usually that really irks you, I guess?
it doesn't irk me. I mean, why would you not have a plate carrier? Like, I mean, that would be feed, whatever, board. And I gotta tell you, one thing that's been fucking irking me lately, I don't know why, but I see all these people out there, like, wearing camo, acting like they're fucking operators on ranges. Look, I just want to say this. Like, you're just trying to do what guys like Tim Kennedy, Mark Luttrell fucking...
Really, dude? Contradictions. Let me go ahead and roll this last one, and we're going to go ahead and close things down. Here's my conclusion, and I'll be leaving the episode of the podcast in the description box like I mentioned at the very beginning before we got started. Here's the deal. I don't know if Dakota has got this issue with civilians or whatnot. Then again, though, I also see on his Instagram page how he's so very, very, very pro-Dan Commie-Shaw, which I find very, very weird. But then again, though, given the nature that he is contradicting himself on several occasions, saying he doesn't really like the whole LARPer thing, or he thinks everybody goes to the range is LARPing, and then he turns right back around and says that's not the case. He kind of runs from it. Seems to me almost like he's running for office. I mean, you got to ask him, is this guy in favor of red flag laws or anything? So he basically the entire time says that you're not good enough to actually, you're never going to be as good as vets. You're never going to be as good as law enforcement. Okay. We understand that. But at the same time, though, you're basically telling people that they shouldn't even bother training or anything, which I don't think is a good look. If anything, you should be encouraging people pick up and do the Second Amendment. He also has this very, very cold attitude, I think, in my opinion, where he's not considering people who can't serve or people who could not serve at that time. I had the same exact feeling. I can empathize with Dakota on that. The problem is not everybody in the world can actually pull that off. It is what it is. I understand it. But not everybody can go, and given the current political situation in the country, it just comes off as extremely crass. And yes, I'm pretty sure that right now this is the main reason why it is that a lot of people are starting to think that, number one, you're an elitist. Number two, that you're not pro the people of the nation itself. Makes some people think that you might be a military shill. And also, to go on top of everything else, given your past, it makes people also think that you may not be such a good civilian. I'm not here to do that. I'm just simply telling you guys the perception that many people have of him. And I just simply pray for Dakota, and hopefully maybe he can kind of like maybe come to a better understanding of why it is that we need to be teaching people how to actually do things. And I would hope that he would not develop such a crass attitude towards those who actually show any interest in actually defending their homes and communities given the current situation. I mean, we're looking at the possibility of World War III, and guys could get drafted, but I highly doubt they're going to be drafting anybody 25 or older who has a family. In the meantime, though, those of you who do have families who need to actually train or feel like you need to train to defend your home, I encourage you guys to go ahead and do something. And Dakota, really quick, I want to go ahead and say this one more time, and I mean this. You should be helping other veterans out. You should be going to ranges with this guy named this guy from T-Rex Farms. You should be going to these places, and you should be teaching, and you should be learning from them. That right there is what you should be doing. It comes off like you're denigrating people. It comes off as very crass. It comes off like you're actually telling people that them picking up a weapon is useless, especially given the fact that you're very, very pro-Dan Crenshaw, was very, very pro-red flag law, and it's not exactly a good overall look. So, yes, he's been kind of screwing up his own brand for a while, and I guess you guys can kind of see why it is that this curious case of him makes him look like he's just unlikable. Guys, with that right there being said, I'm going to go ahead and halt the rest of this video. I think I've gotten everything I need to say out. This video is going to be coming out on Friday evening. If you guys like this video, make sure you guys hit the like button. If you feel like I've earned your subscription, please subscribe. Also, something else too, cut on the notifications bell so that way you guys can be notified of when videos are going to be coming out. I'm working on another project right now. Let me see. I think I'm working on the one about Hanaway Jane and why it is that we are right to dislike her. I'm also working on a project about First Blood book from the actual film itself. So make sure you guys stick around for this. We're trying to put out a brand new video every other day going forward. The channel is now going back to Gear Issue 33. If you guys can, make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe, share the video. If you feel like I have earned it, please hit the notifications bell, leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.